Do you ever feel lonely and think visiting a friend will fix it? After retirement, it's natural to feel a strange quiet settle into your life. You've gone from years of scheduled routines, co-workers, calls, and constant movement to wide-open days with too much time to think. It's during these long, still hours that many people begin reaching for the past, calling old friends, dropping by unannounced, trying to fill that emptiness with familiar faces. But what if I told you that visiting friends every time you feel lonely may not be the best thing for your heart, your relationships, or even your long-term happiness? That's right. As odd as it may sound, leaning too heavily on friendships during retirement can sometimes deepen your loneliness rather than cure it. In this video, we're going to talk about 5 surprising reasons why visiting your friends during moments of emotional emptiness might do more harm than good. This isn't about cutting people off. It's about understanding how to build a life that's emotionally stronger, more self-reliant, and ultimately more fulfilling, starting with how you manage your time, your energy, and your inner peace. Each of the 5 reasons we'll explore is based on real patterns seen in people navigating retirement and emotional health. And by the end of this video, you'll not only see yourself more clearly, you'll understand how to approach friendships in a way that helps you grow instead of cling. So stay with me. Don't turn away from this just because it sounds uncomfortable. Sometimes the hardest truths carry the greatest freedom. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's a great time to do it, so you don't miss the kinds of insights that help you stay mentally strong and emotionally steady in your next chapter. Let's begin. Number 1, one-sided emotional dependence. One of the most common mistakes people make after retirement is assuming that the answer to loneliness is to lean on friends the way they used to. But here's the thing, friendships shift as we age. And if you're not careful, you might find yourself placing the weight of your emotional well-being on someone who never asked to carry it. That's what makes this first reason so important. When you're feeling lonely, visiting a friend might feel like a lifeline, but it can quietly create an unbalanced emotional dynamic, where one person becomes a source of comfort and the other becomes an emotional crutch. Think about 2 men, Robert and Gerald, both 72 years old. Robert enjoys his quiet afternoons, tinkering in his garage or reading at the library. He appreciates catching up with friends, but he's also content with his own company. Gerald, on the other hand, feels restless most days. Ever since retiring, he's been calling up old friends and showing up at their homes, hoping for a good conversation or some distraction. At first, it feels like connection. But over time, his friends start feeling pressure. They stop picking up every call. They make excuses. And Gerald, who already felt isolated, now feels rejected too. This cycle is more common than most people realize. When we turn to others to fix how we feel inside, it often backfires. Not because the other person doesn't care, but because they weren't prepared to take on that role. Relationships that once felt mutual begin to feel one-sided. And eventually people start pulling away, not because they don't like you, but because the connection no longer feels light or joyful, it feels heavy. The danger in this is subtle but real. You begin to associate your friends with relief from your own pain, which turns friendship into medication rather than connection. And when that dose isn't available, the loneliness comes back stronger than before. What's worse, this pattern keeps you from learning how to stand on your own 2 feet emotionally, how to develop the quiet kind of strength that comes from being okay, even when no one else is around. But there's a better way. The key is to build your days with small routines that make you feel grounded on your own, making your bed, preparing a meal from scratch, writing in a notebook, or taking a walk without your phone. When you start giving your own presence the same respect and attention you used to give to your job or your family, you begin to grow a sense of emotional independence that no friend can give and no absence can take away. So before you knock on that friend's door just because you're feeling empty, ask yourself gently, am I hoping they'll fix something I haven't yet learned to hold myself? The answer might surprise you, and the awareness might just be the beginning of something stronger. Number 2, different life rhythms post-retirement. After retirement, the days stretch longer than they used to. Your calendar opens up, your mornings slow down, and for the first time in decades, you're not tied to anyone else's schedule. That sounds freeing, and it is, but it also creates a strange mismatch between you and those around you, especially when they're not walking the same road. That brings us to the second reason. You might want to think twice before visiting friends. Just because you feel lonely, the rhythm of your life may now be out of sync with theirs. And that misalignment can quietly cause tension, confusion, or even distance. Take Marilyn and Lorraine, both 69. Marilyn has been retired for a year and enjoys her slow breakfast, afternoon strolls, and early evenings spent in quiet reflection. Lorraine, her longtime friend, is still working part-time and takes care of her grandchildren 3 days a week. Marilyn, feeling a bit isolated, begins dropping by Lorraine's house unannounced, hoping for some company. Lorraine, caught between errands and responsibilities, welcomes her at first, but over time begins to feel overwhelmed. She doesn't say anything, but her texts become shorter, her tone more clipped, and her door less open. Marilyn, sensing a change, begins to feel rejected, without realizing she may have unintentionally been stepping into her friend's already full life at the wrong times. What many people don't talk about is how post-retirement life often creates invisible friction in friendships. While your time may now feel wide open, your friends may still be managing work, health appointments, caregiving duties, or even their own emotional recovery. If you visit them out of loneliness, without checking in first, without understanding their rhythm, you may unknowingly interrupt their flow and create distance where you were hoping for closeness. Even more important, these visits can sometimes carry an unspoken message. I'm bored and need you to fix it. And while your friend may smile and pour you a cup of coffee, part of them might also feel pressured to drop what they're doing and make you feel better. Over time, this dynamic builds resentment, not because they don't care, but because they didn't sign up to be your anchor every time the loneliness hits. There's nothing wrong with wanting company. We're wired for connection. But real friendship thrives when both people feel seen, respected, and free. And that includes respecting each other's pace, responsibilities, and boundaries. So what can you do instead? Try creating your own rhythm first. Set morning rituals, even if they're small. Volunteer once a week. Join a local class or community group. When your life has its own beat, you'll find that your visits to friends come not from desperation, but from abundance. And your friends will feel it too. They'll sense that you're not looking to be rescued. You're just looking to share a good moment together. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 3, hidden emotional triggers. One of the quietest, most overlooked reasons visiting friends after retirement can sometimes make things worse is that those visits have a way of waking up parts of you that you thought had gone to sleep. When we spend time with people who knew us in a different season of life, when we were working, raising kids, or striving toward goals, it can stir up emotional memories we didn't expect. Some are sweet, but others carry pain. And that's the third reason this kind of socializing, while well-intentioned, might not be what your heart really needs when you're feeling low. Let's look at Sam and Paul, both in their early 70s. They were co-workers for 25 years and met up every Saturday for breakfast after they retired. At first it felt good, familiar. But as the weeks went on, Sam started leaving those breakfasts feeling unsettled. He didn't know why at first, but then it clicked. Every conversation circled back to their careers, past accomplishments, or old office gossip. Paul still loved to relive those days. But for Sam, who had quietly been struggling with the question of purpose since retiring, those conversations brought up feelings of loss. He started comparing, wondering if he had done enough, if he had mattered as much. Instead of lifting his spirits, those visits left him weighed down. This is more common than people admit. Retirement is not just about stopping work, it's about stepping away from a whole identity. And when you return to the people who knew you in that former role, you might find yourself slipping back into old patterns, old doubts, or old insecurities that no longer fit but haven't yet healed. Friends can accidentally reinforce the version of yourself you're trying to move on from, not because they mean to, but because that's the version they remember. And if that friendship includes even a hint of past competition, comparisons, or unresolved tension, it can make you feel like you're constantly measuring your life against theirs, even when no one says a word about it. That quiet pressure builds. And instead of walking away feeling supported, you leave feeling smaller. Now, does that mean you should cut off all ties to old friends? Absolutely not. But it does mean you need to be honest about how those interactions make you feel. If you walk away from a visit feeling anxious, drained, or unsure of yourself, it might be a sign that you're still carrying emotional baggage that needs your attention. And those visits, rather than helping, might be slowing your healing. So give yourself permission to pull back when you need to take space. to sort through your thoughts and feelings in a way that's free of outside comparison. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is sit quietly with your own memories and choose which ones to keep carrying and which ones to finally set down. That's not isolation. That's growth. And in many ways, it's the kind of work only you can do. Number 4, social fatigue and superficial talk. Not all loneliness is cured by company. Sometimes sitting across from someone, nodding through small talk, and pretending to enjoy a shallow conversation can make you feel even more alone than if you were just sitting by yourself. That's the 4th reason why visiting friends out of habit, especially when you're emotionally low, can actually drain you more than it restores you. When we seek connection but end up in interactions that lack depth or presence, our spirit notices. We walk away feeling emptier, even though we weren't alone. Think of Barbara and Jean, both 75. Barbara has always been the chatty type, good with words, great with stories. Jean appreciates her company, but finds that their weekly coffee dates have become predictable. They talk about the weather, the neighbors, what the grandkids are up to, but nothing deeper. Jean tried once to bring up how she's been struggling with sleep and a lingering sense of sadness she can't quite shake. But Barbara brushed it off with a joke and quickly changed the subject. After that, Jean stopped trying. She still meets with Barbara every week, but afterward, she often feels tired, misunderstood, and strangely distant. As we get older, our capacity for surface-level interaction shrinks. We crave realness, honest moments, a sense that the person in front of us isn't just hearing us, but really seeing us. And yet many friendships built over decades were never trained in that kind of emotional depth. They revolved around events, routines, or shared obligations, not vulnerability. So when you visit someone out of loneliness, hoping for connection, but are met with shallow conversation or distracted attention, it can trigger a quiet disappointment that lingers for hours afterward. This kind of social fatigue is sneaky. It doesn't always come with anger or sadness. Sometimes it just shows up as a heavy sigh when you get home, or a subtle thought like, why did I bother going? But that's the body's way of letting you know that energy was spent, not restored. You don't have to stop seeing people, but you do have to start asking yourself why you're seeing them and what kind of interaction you're really looking for. Are you seeking genuine connection, or are you just trying to fill time? Because those are two very different things, and confusing the two often leads to more emptiness, not less. The solution isn't always to talk more. Sometimes it's to go deeper. And if you can't do that with the people you're seeing, it might be time to seek out others who can meet you at the level you need, or to practice having that depth with yourself first. Because learning how to sit with your own thoughts, ask your own questions, and offer yourself your own presence is one of the strongest skills you can build in this stage of life. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 5, missed opportunity for inner growth. There's something about silence that makes most people uncomfortable, especially after a lifetime of noise. The conversations at work, the constant phone calls, the family demands, the to-do lists, the errands, the responsibilities. Then suddenly retirement arrives, and with it comes space, time, quiet, and for many that quiet feels unbearable. That's why so many people rush to fill it with visits, with calls, with plans. But here's the truth: every time you avoid being alone by running to someone else, you might be robbing yourself of the most important gift this stage of life has to offer: inner growth. Let's look at Ellen and Ruth, both 78 years old. Ellen fills every day with meetups, breakfast with old coworkers, afternoon cards with the neighbors, evening phone calls with her sister. She's always in motion, always surrounded by chatter. Ruth, on the other hand, began her retirement with a deep feeling of loss. She missed her routines, her relevance, and her structure. But instead of rushing to fill the space, she chose to sit with it. She read more, walked alone, journaled her thoughts. She cried sometimes, but slowly something shifted. She began to feel calm, centered. She started to like her own company. This is the part of retirement no one tells you about. The chance to rediscover who you are when no one needs you to be anything. When you stop measuring your worth by how many people you've seen or how many plans you've made. Being alone doesn't have to mean being lonely. In fact, it's often the first step toward building a more grounded, more peaceful life. But only if you allow the stillness to teach you something instead of rushing to escape it. When you constantly visit friends to escape your own discomfort, You're postponing the quiet work your soul has been asking you to do. You're silencing the questions that need your attention. Questions like, who am I now? What do I want this next chapter to feel like? What kind of peace have I never given myself permission to have? This doesn't mean you shouldn't connect with people, but it does mean you need to become your own companion first. Because when you start enjoying your own presence, your friendships take on a new shape. You no longer visit people to be rescued. You visit them to share something whole, something peaceful, something you've already found within yourself. That's the opportunity. And it's only available when you stop using people as distractions and start viewing solitude as a doorway. A doorway to a deeper version of you, one that doesn't just survive retirement, but grows through it. Final thoughts. If you've made it this far, take a moment and ask yourself which of these reasons spoke to you the most. Were you reminded of times when you left a visit feeling more alone than when you arrived? Or moments when you leaned on a friend, only to realize later you hadn't yet learned how to lean on yourself? That quiet discomfort you've been carrying, that need to always reach out, to always be with someone, it's not weakness. It's a sign that something inside you is ready to grow. Retirement is a strange and sacred season. It takes things from you, your schedule, your status, your sense of direction, but it also gives you something in return: space. And how you use that space, how you choose to face the stillness, makes all the difference. Some people rush to fill it with noise, with visits, with distraction, but others choose to let it teach them something deeper. If you've been visiting friends just to avoid feeling lonely, it's not a reason to blame yourself. It's a reason to pause and ask what your heart really needs. Because connection is beautiful, but so is solitude. And only by learning to be with yourself, really be with yourself, can you ever show up to others with the kind of peace and wholeness that nourishes both sides. So today, take a little time just for you. Turn off the noise, sit in a quiet room, take a slow walk without your phone. Write something down that you've never said out loud. And notice how your own presence begins to feel a little less unfamiliar and a little more like home. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.